5 days after winning the WCW title, David Arquette was set for his first show with the belt with anticipation in the business to see if the publicity stunt translated to the wide audience to either justify it or to further criticize the decision booked hours before the Thunder taping, with Vince Russo responding to the backlash of the title change saying that the pro wrestling industry is now show business and the belt is a prop and the media attention coming out of it is justifying the decision. With the company in the days following getting what they were looking for with a lot of mainstream exposure with the footage of Arquette with the belt, being covered on USA Today, Access Hollywood Extra, the New York Post among other entertainment media outlets covering the news. Arquette himself, who was a big wrestling fan, playing a lead role in the WCW produced Ready to Rumble movie and was training in the ring with Kanyon and Page during the filming, was against the move when notified of the decision on Tuesday afternoon out of respect for the business, while also donating his WCW salary to the families of Owen Hart, Brian Pillman, Droz among others, feeling that he doesn't belong in the position even though the title win was booked as a fluke of him pinning Bischoff and he was never presented as a legitimate opponent against the wrestlers, with Arquette along with Page and Kanyon coming out for the title win follow-up promo saying that he doesn't deserve it and he's gonna relinquish the belt before being confronted by Bischoff and Jarrett, with Eric forcing him to defend the belt in the ring to add him to the triple cage match at Slamboree in 6 days, while booking him in a tune-up match against Tank Abbott for tonight with Page taking it for him instead. With one of the most hyped draw shows in history about to go on the air at 9 p.m. a day after one of the biggest pay-per-views in company history last night, with Rock winning the WWF title for the first time in over a year along with Austin's return, everybody knew Raw is going to do monster numbers coming off Backlash no matter what Nitro presented on the night, with the big test of the Arquette publicity coming in the unopposed hour when Nitro had the entire audience to draw from before Raw went on the air, with the first hour not only not showing any growth or additional interest, but drawing a near-record low 2.6 rating, showing that while Arquette did decent numbers in most of his individual segments, he doesn't have the mass appeal to attract either the wrestling audience or the casual mainstream audience to watch based on him being heavily featured on the show, with Nitro peaking with a 2.8 rating in the first hour for a Steiner-Jarrett Morris three-way match. Russo coming out to challenge Luger and a Sting vs Vampiro skit in the Graveyard, crossing over the top of the hour with a Page vs Abbott match going 2 minutes with Abbott going over after Jarrett's interference, setting up Abbott vs Arquette for later in the show, followed by a Kidman promo which brought out Nash, opening the first opposed quarter with a 2.5 rating, which meant that Nitro, due to being down to almost its core audience, maintained almost the entire opposed viewership in the first quarter. The culmination of Rock's year-long title chase on May 1, 2000 was the payoff of perhaps the biggest single month the industry has ever seen, as the WWF peaked in almost every aspect of business between April 1 to May 1, with Raw and SmackDown viewership, pay-per-views, gates and merchandise all setting records to conclude on the night, coming off the Backlash pay-per-view ending with one of the biggest spectacles of all time for the conclusion of the main event, as Steve Austin made his first appearance since November '99 to take out the McMahon's faction, with Rock beating Triple H with the People's Elbow to win the belt for the first time since March '99, leading to a series of some of the biggest crowd reactions ever seen in the industry, also signaling the start of the build to the inevitable Rock-Austin WrestleMania main event rematch that was originally supposed to take place a few weeks earlier on April 2 at WrestleMania 16. But with Austin out with neck surgery, was now targeted for WrestleMania 17 on April 1, 2001. While the faction came out on Raw for the follow-up promo on last night, Nitro dropped significantly to a show low 1.9 rating while Raw spiked big into the 7 rating range, featuring mainly the Russo-Luger confrontation to end with Chronic coming out and Russo getting all 3 arrested, while at the same time Triple H responded to losing the title to Rock, saying that it took Rock Austin and 3 other people to beat him, telling JR that he heard his commentary from last night and the game is just beginning. With Vince taking the microphone next, cutting a promo warning Austin and Linda and guaranteeing that history will be made tonight in a cage when Rock shows up here in Baltimore, with the quarter jumping big with over 1.6 million viewers to one of the highest opposed segments in history, 7.1 rating, with Rock about to get to the building in 30 minutes. 2 days before winning the belt at Backlash in a rare situation of the top WWF star on an exclusive contract working for another promotion, Rock made his Puerto Rico debut on Friday, headlining an IWA show in a tag match with Kane against the Dudleys. Arquette, who was shown outside on a movie set to start the show with wife Courtney Cox trying to convince him that he's not a wrestler and get him out of it before he gets hurt, was next against Tank Abbott, going 2 minutes before Dallas Page drove an ambulance back into the building to take out Abbott with a cutter from behind, ending up with Abbott, who is still scheduled to be Goldberg's return opponent, with him calling him out every week, getting pinned by Arquette for the finish, with the Abbott-Arquette match along with a Sting Vampiro segment also in the same quarter, bumping Nitro back over 700,000 viewers to a 2.5 rating, with Raw against it having the Hardys against the returning Too Cool with Brian Christopher returning after knee surgery going 5 minutes, with tag champions Edge and Christian in the opening segment on commentary, with King and JR spoofing all the work shoot comments going on in the business, saying that they are going to shoot with them while stopping their crowd entrance to transition to their new heel characters, followed by Vince McMahon threatening Earl Hebner to stay out of his business in a show-long angle building to the payoff in the main event, setting up a 2.5 to 6.7 rating margin. After building it throughout the show with them brawling all over the building, Nitro's main event saw Hulk Hogan vs. Mike Awesome going 7 minutes in the final quarter, bringing out Kidman to hit Hogan with a chair for the finish, with Awesome going over, and Hogan bleeding again in the final build-up to the Hogan vs. Kidman pay-per-view match on Sunday, with Hogan making a comeback before the red liquid fell on him to end with a new blood beatdown to close the show, gaining to a head-to-head peak 2.6 rating, with Nitro not crossing past the top of the hour, ending exactly at 10 p.m., continuing the inconsistent performance of the last month, with the show again dropping to a 2.5 rating overall, and with Raw picking up huge in the second hour. The 2.5 to 7.4 gap was the largest in history. Raw, which was without Kurt Angle on the night with him off the show attending the premiere of the movie Gladiator in LA, closed out the first hour having X-Pac vs. Chris Jericho going 4 minutes, with Vince booking the match for Waltman to get revenge for Stephanie after Jericho's recent promos, with Earl Hebner refereeing his first match back after being reinstated by Linda last night to continue the show-long angle of him going against DX and the McMahons, closing the first hour with a 6.8 rating. Seconds after 10 p.m. Rock was shown arriving to the building, going straight to the ring, with the Baltimore arena exploding with a massive ovation for Rock's first babyface promo as WWF Champion, bumping Raw big, with the show gaining almost 50% of the WCW viewership watching the Nitro finish to a near-record 7.9 rating. Rock put over Austin for his return last night, with Rock and JR telling viewers that Austin is not going to appear tonight as to not falsely advertise him, with Rock mentioning him watching the show from Texas, before cutting a promo on the McMahons, calling them out for any challenge they have for him for tonight, bringing out the faction, with Vince guaranteeing that history will be made tonight, promising that Rock would lose the title in one of the shortest title reigns of all time, booking a Rock vs. Shane title cage match for the main event. Raw remained strong, hovering around the 8 rating range for the rest of the hour, which averaged over 9.6 million viewers between 10 to 11:06 p.m. having 3 matches of Edge and Christian defending the tag titles against Big Show and Rikishi, including Edge and Christian debuting their 5-second flash photography pose, along with Eddie Guerrero vs. Esse Rios for the European title and Chris Benoit vs. Taz. After last Monday's Raw broke almost every record in show history, SmackDown 3 days later followed with its highest rated and most watched episode in show history, drawing a 5.4 rating with over 8.7 million viewers, building throughout in a show-long angle, with Rock announcing that Austin will make an appearance, peaking in the final quarter for the Rock-Austin faction payoff segment, jumping huge to a record 6.6 rating on network television, with over 10.6 million viewers on the go-home segment for the pay-per-view, as all indications pointed to Backlash drawing one of the biggest pay-per-views in WWF history, with the company notifying the cable providers during the final build-up, preparing ahead of time for the expected increased demand due to the hype surrounding the show, which ended up being the biggest pay-per-view of all time with over 670,000 buys. As with business booming across the board, the WWF would face a challenge to build on the record numbers in the next week, as Rock will be off filming his first movie role in The Mummy, missing either a Raw or SmackDown TV show for the first time in years, with him scheduled to return in Cleveland on the May 15th Raw. Rock and Shane came out at 10:50 p.m. with the match ending up closing a record-breaking month for the company with an all-time peak, breaking all viewership records, starting with the entrances and start of the match gaining to an 8.3 final quarter rating, the second highest quarter hour in Raw history on an opposed night, only behind the Rock Mankind This Is Your Life segment on September 27, '99. With the majority of the match crossing over 11 p.m. to jump over 1.5 million viewers to a huge 9.1 rating and over 10.8 million viewers, making it the most watched match in Raw and wrestling on cable television in history, including an unprecedented situation of the audience watching the Rock vs. Shane cage match by itself, outdrawing the Raw and Nitro combined viewership in the first hour, with the show also shattering overall rating records, with Raw's second hour drawing an 8.1 rating to make it the second highest rated hour in show history, as outside of the May 10, '99 show, which went unopposed all night, Raw drew its highest rating in history with a 7.4 rating, culminating with Rock and Shane going 9 minutes with interferences from the faction and referees Hebner, Patterson and Briscoe, ending up with Rock retaining the title, escaping over the top of the cage to end an all-time memorable broadcast for the company.